All right. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Ruach Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is, let me just get the title again. That's from the book of Psalms. It's that the poor may fall by his strong ones. And pretty much this is based off of, according to the numbers, it appears that Joe Biden is the president-elect, and that he's going to be him and that other demon, Kamala Olive Harris, supposed to be the next president and vice president of the so-called United States. And they had given some speeches yesterday, and I said to myself I wanted to hear what they were saying, just to see if I could pick up, anything. And they have one of Biden's speeches chopped up about 7 minutes and about 46 seconds. And as I'm listening to it, around the 2 minute and about 20-second point, because prior to that he was speaking about how different ethnicities and different religions came together to support them, so on and so forth, this, that, and the other, in so many words. But then around 2 minutes and 20 seconds, he said, they've given us an action for mandate for COVID. So as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, that's the key right there. They're giving us an action for mandate for COVID. So all I had to do was hear that word mandate, and I said, yep. So what is a mandate? Let's look up the word mandate on this in this offline dictionary. Mandate. We got the word mandate, and the word mandate means a document given an official instruction or command. Let's see. Let's see if there's anything else. Here we go. The commission that is given to a government and its policies through an electoral victory. And that's pretty much, right now what they're saying, that they were given this mandate. So now that they were given this mandate, what was the mandate for? For COVID. He said they've given us an action for mandate for COVID. So in other words, he's saying that these people that voted him in and his winning gave him and Kamala Olives the mandate to push and make stricter measures for this so-called COVID, as it's so convenient that during the time of the so-called elections, that the so-called, all of a sudden now the everything was cool, everything was getting back to normal. Now all of a sudden all of the cases are spiking, out of control. They're spiking out of control all of a sudden. I mean, this got to be like the worst, the lousiest written movie ever in the history. I'm saying, as far as Esau is concerned. I mean, they're just corny. I mean, we know that the Most High set it all up, but Esau, man, their stuff is just like you be like, who writes this stuff, So the bottom line is, they got, just so happens that as soon as the elections are almost in place or in place, and all of a sudden you got this great spike in cases of COVID all throughout the so-called United States, all throughout the world. And now that he's the so-called president and she's the so-called vice president, now they're saying that these people that voted them into office, they've given us an action for mandate for COVID. You know, so as you listen to the further down in the speech, around 3 minutes, he was talking about how the pandemic is worse. And I mean, he spoke about the economy and certain other things, but I was pretty much listening more so, not just so much for the economy, but for this so-called pandemic, right? So around 3 minutes or so, he says the pandemic's worse, right? And then around 3 minutes and 48 seconds, they're saying that when they get in office, which is what, January 20th, 2021, he said day one, plan and action to control this virus. So in other words, from the very moment that they step or they get that authority to get into office, the very first thing they're going to do is to set up a plan of action to control COVID. So what do you think that means? That means that they're going to be stricter measures, more lockdowns, more curfews, more people not allowed to go freely, not be able to gather. And these people are clapping like fucking seals from Alaska or wherever the seals come from, the Arctic. You know, they clapping like seals from the Arctic and don't realize that this man is talking about putting a stranglehold on you. Let's go real quick to 1 Peter 5, verse 8. It said, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. And that's what they're doing. And why are they doing this? Because they know that their time is short. Let's go real quick to Revelation 12. And by the way, Elder Pastor just did a video. I think it was titled "The Dragon Coming Down, Having Great Wrath," if I'm not mistaken, where he's speaking about Joe Biden, him being in office, you know, and you know, he showed a clip or played a little bit of the clip of Joe Biden briefing. I keep forgetting that devil's name. It'll come back. That judge, you know, the Supreme Court judge, and briefing him and telling him that they're going to have to, he's going to have to preside, for lack of better words, preside over the decision of can a microchip be implanted into humans, and also a neurological implant in humans. He said you will vote on these things before your tenure is over. Chief Justice, I forget the devil's name, but eventually they'll come back. You know, so pretty much, he already knows what's going on the inside. Because he's an insider. You know, and now that they got him in place, they're gonna use this devil. You know, if Trump doesn't try to or doesn't, you know, decides he's not gonna leave office or whatever, however that's gonna play out. But if this devil actually does get in there, that's his first plan of action, to have more to take this so-called COVID and control it. You know, how do you think that's going to be done? That's going to be through stricter measures. That's why the devil, Bill and Melinda Gates, those two devils, said that they didn't take the first lockdown serious, but they will take the second lockdown serious. Why? Because they already know, they already have a plan on what they're going to do. Let me hold on to this other precept, and then I want to hold on to this one so I can come back to it. But I want to go to Revelation 12. Let's go to Revelation chapter 12, and I believe that's verse 10. It says, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power. Yeah, because this is the point that we're at. We're at the threshold of the kingdom of heaven and the power of his anointed. So we're at that threshold where Yahushua is about to claim his rightful place on the throne. You know, and in order for him to do that, he got to kick Esau and the other nations off, because they're sitting on what rightfully belongs to him. They're just occupying space for the time being. They're just keeping the seat warm, so to speak. It says, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accuse them before our power day and night. Yeah, so that's what Yahushua is coming to do, to cast this devil down from that power, you know, that position of rulership. Now we did the lesson, I believe that was not yesterday, but the day before yesterday on the damned, and we proved how this particular dragon that is talking about an actual um, different kingdoms of Edomites that would be ruling, and their kings and all of that, the 7 heads and the 10 horns, so on and so forth. And we linked it with the dragon, you know, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, showing that it was actual people that this was talking about. So when you read Revelation 12 chapter, from about the 7th verse down, this war in heaven is talking about Yahushua and the angels fighting against Esau, his military, and the military of the other nations. I had just ran across an article that I sent to a couple of brothers. It was some F-17s or something like that, some fire jet planes. They were blue and gold, and or blue and yellow, and they called them something angels they called them, because these devils know that is their strength, their power, their angels, their protection. And that's what the angels are for. They have wings and they protect. They have power to protect the elect, you know. And these devils have the left hand energy of their angels, which is a representation of these fighter jets, helicopters, missiles, so on and so forth, but more so their jets, because remember, this war that's going to take place is going to take place in heaven, meaning up in the skies. All right, so it reads on. It says, and they overcame him, meaning the elect, by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Now here's the point. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth. Why? Because this is going to be a worldwide event. What we're witnessing is a worldwide event taking place. No longer is it one country, one continent, one town, one city, you know, one ethnicity of people. This is something that has encompassed the whole globe, the whole planet. So this so-called crisis, you know, of the corn Julio, you know, pretty much is a worldwide thing that they're using, and they're not letting it die out, you know. So now all of a sudden, when the so-called elections are in play, now all of a sudden the cases are spiking out of control. We got to do something to control this. And this, what's the first thing this devil said? He said, they've given us an action for mandate for COVID. Then later on he goes on and said that the pandemic is worsening. Then they said the plans for day one, when they get into power, is an action to control this virus. So there's going to be a lot more stricter measures that are going to be pushed throughout the planet Earth. So it says, especially here in America, it says, and woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So they know that they only have a short time. That's why they're scrambling to get this stuff done. You know, they're scrambling hard to get their new world order off the ground and everything in place. So when we go to Isaiah 10:1, it says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. So what is a decree? A decree is a law, legislation. And you can have righteous laws like the Most High's laws, or you can have wicked laws like Esau's laws. Because what Esau's laws are meant to do is they're meant to put a stranglehold on people so that he can transfer the people's goods, their resources, their money, the things that are valuable unto them, their homes, their vehicles, their land, their resources, and take them away from them and put it upon himself based off of legislation. When these devils, Columbus and them, came to the so-called New World, what did they do? They knew that the natives that were here, the Israelites, the 10 tribes, did not understand the Spanish language. So what did they do? They read decrees in Spanish that this land is now given to the crown of Spain. And since nobody protested because nobody understood, they understood that as being, well, they agreed because nobody challenged it. So that's what these devils do. Antiochus Epiphanes, another one. What did he do? He wrote laws so that the whole kingdom that he ruled over will become one, and that they will leave the religions of their land. You know, that was a decree, an order, legislation that was passed, that if anybody disobeyed that way, they would be put to death. When you go back to Darius, I believe it was Darius, that had made some type of image, and the decree was through his magicians and all that. They said, look, if when the people hear the music playing and they don't bow down to this, they be put to death. So in every society, every kingdom, there was always a king or a nation that was writing down legislation to rule over people. Because whenever you are under the rule of another nation, you have to abide by their rules. You have to speak their language, and that's why rules and regulations are important. But what Esau does, he does them wickedly. That's why they passed the 13th and the 14th Amendment. The 13th Amendment says that no slavery or involuntary servitude shall exist, right? Now it sounds like a noble idea. So wow, so they doing away with 1865, the Emancipation Proclamation, which that's a joke. The 13th Amendment, neither slavery or involuntary servitude shall exist in the United States. So wow, that's a good thing, right? He said, except for something about crimes or criminal. Matter of fact, I got it on my phone, offline. I got the Constitution. All right, so now what order? Okay, so that's amendments. Amendment 13, right? Slavery abolished. It says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Going back to those unrighteous decrees. So what do? They charge Jake with the menial, the shit that's non-violent, that is not even harmful to the average person. They'll put the stiffest penalties on Jake. So what? So that they can be justified in making Jake a slave in the system by legislation. So that way now you have no rights. You're stripped of your rights. You're in jail. You got to conform to the laws of the jail, and you got to provide slave wages, because they get paid what, $1, $2, $2.50, for different things that they make in there, whether it's garments or license plates or whatever it is that they got to make it. So what is that? That is a form of cheap labor or slave labor. These devils do not play fair. That's why it says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. Now, let's go to Isaiah 10. Isaiah chapter 10. Oh, I didn't know they had that. Oh, okay. I see. Okay. Isaiah, that might be even better. So like I'm just thinking out loud. Isaiah chapter 10 and 1, decree. The word decree is the word chakwak. Chakwak. To cut out, decree, inscribe, set, engrave, portray, govern. So how do you govern someone? By imposing your legislation upon them. By bringing them into subjection under your laws. The word subjection means to be brought under the rule. What is the rule? The law. What is the law? Whatever laws that they have, to govern you by. It says to cut in, or on, cut upon, engrave, inscribe. Try to see if they got anything else. Okay, here we go. To inscribe, enact, decree. One who decrees, lawgiver. See? So these are unrighteous decrees, unrighteous legislation, unrighteous laws. So it says what? Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. See? So destruction unto those that decree unrighteous decree, that they write legislation that is wicked. It says, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. See, so it's grievous what they're doing, because they make it to where people can't even function, because the what you have to do, and if you break it, is so heinous, and it's like it's almost impossible to walk without messing up, because they're constantly looking at you to bring you down. See, and you speak like this, and most people are like, oh, see, here you go with that, that racism and this. Look, man, You don't know, if you don't understand that, you don't know what the fuck is going on. And shut the fuck up, stick your head back up your ass, stick your head up with Joe, Creepy Joe and Kamala Olive Harris ass. And shut the fuck up and move on. So it says grievousness, it says toil, which is what? Work, trouble, labor. Because how are they oppressing the people? By putting them into labor. So they charge Jake with a certain crime that doesn't merit the time that they get. So what? So that they can put him into labor. These labor camps being what? These so-called prison houses, prison system. Then the average person out there, they hit them with all kinds of tickets, all kinds of fees, constantly, wearing them down. Then they go to court. Look, if you don't want to go to jail, you got to do community service. So what is community service? Free labor for the government so that you don't go to jail. Or you could pay a fine. Or you can go to jail for 6 months or 3 months or 1 month or whatever. And what do you think the average person is going to do? They don't want to go to jail, so they'll do, you know what, I'll do 7 days community service or 2 weeks community service. So it's nothing but free labor for the government. These devils they know what the fuck they doing, man. Those are unrighteous decrees, man. It's wicked. That's the American way. Yeah. Gad knows that very well. Reuben, Issachar, and the rest of the tribes know that very well. So it says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. And what is a prescription? Something that's written beforehand. Let's go to prescribe. Prescribe is kathab, which is what the word kathab is writing, or history, records. It says to write, record, enroll. To write, inscribe, engrave, write in, write on. To write down, describe in writing, to register, enroll, record, to decree. And that's why when they write these laws, what do? They write the law, then they'll give you certain words you can look up, and those certain words are what? Defined. But the definition of these words are very vague because their interpretation of the law is whatever they say the interpretation is. So when you try to get into the law and try to research certain things, it's very vague. It's very open. That's where you have what? An attorney in the court system, and these attorneys are what? What the job of an attorney is to turn. Here it is, you got a crime, so-called crime that was committed. You have a defendant, you have a plaintiff. The defendant is being charged by the plaintiff of a certain crime. This is the crime. This is what the law says. Now it's the job of the attorney of the defendant to find laws in that body of legislation to overturn that charge against him. So when he does find a case law or a certain law or something in the books that can fight against that charge, the attorney of the plaintiff will come back with another case law or another law or sub law, whatever the case is, to overturn that. So it's a back and forth to either one side wins, because the other side, gets defeated because they have nothing, nowhere else to go, or the defendant pays a fee, which is what they want in the beginning, or the defendant goes to jail. These are unrighteous decrees, man. And that's why the scripture said, let's go real quick to the book of Psalms, 94. You can't, look, a society cannot be established upon wickedness, man. Because the scales are going to be tipped. The Lord loves what? Equity. Equity is what? Equal balance. So if you don't have equity, the balances are tipped. What did the Lord say? Be not over righteous, be not over much wicked. So everything has to be in perfect balance. This world is off balance into wickedness. And that's why one of the things that the Lord, the Most High promised, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai promised was what? A new heaven and a new earth wherein does what? Wherein dwelleth righteousness. All right, so we go to Psalms, the 94th chapter, and the 20th verse. It says, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee? So what is a throne of iniquity? A throne of wickedness. So shall if you're wicked, should you be still able to rule? Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? And they're framing mischief by a law. So now let's look up those two words, frameth and then mischief. And then we can go back to that. Psalms the 110th chapter and I'm sorry, not 110. What am I saying? Psalms 94 and 20. All right, so it says, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? So let's look up the word mischief. I'm sorry, frameth. The word there is yatazar, which means to form, fashion, frame, right, of original creation. So they actually created, they framed it, they created it, right? Now let's go to mischief. The word mischief is the word aimal, toil, trouble, labor. So it goes into laboring. Now I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the same word that appears in Job, the 20th chapter, where it speaks about all the hands of the wicked shall be upon them, meaning the hands of those that toil, that labor. Why? Because they're being defrauded of their wages. So it says to toil, trouble, labor, trouble, mischief, toil, labor. Yeah, and that because when you toil and you work for somebody, there's always an avenue to rip the worker off. That's why you have these so-called slave markets. What is that labor called? When they sweatshops, you know? Here it is, you got people working for you for next to nothing. So you're making these garments or whatever it is for pennies on the dollar. Then you turn around and you sell it for top dollar. So your overhead is low, and the people that you are so-called employing are really nothing but slaves, forced labor on these people for a slave wage. So those people are oppressed because not only do they have to work for a very low wage, but they have to bust their ass in order to make any kind of money, because they have to work twice as hard. Otherwise, if they only have enough to make one garment or two or 10 or whatever, they won't be able to make a decent wage for them to live, because the wage is already bad enough as it is to begin with. Because you know, when somebody don't get paid that much, what's their attitude? Fuck it, I'm gonna take my time in doing this shit, right here in America. But these people, they're under the, you know, you get paid what you put into it. You're gonna get paid by each garment you make. So what do you think that's gonna do? They're gonna have to bust their ass so that they can make something. These devils, man, they gotta go. They gotta go. And anybody that doesn't have that same sentiment, you are a fucking slave. You have a fucking slave mentality. And you will be moved out of the way when the time comes, because the Lord is gonna move you out of the way. You motherfuckers that got that slave mentality, you fucking Sambo, you stepping, fetching, shuffling ass clowns out there, the Most High is gonna move every last one of you out of the way, man. And you're gonna see this devil's horns come out. You're gonna see him come out. You stupid motherfuckers out there clapping like seals, you know? Oh, buddy, oh, go, yeah, go, you know? Probably got drunk that night, had a fucking hangover for 2 or 3 days later after that stupid bullshit. You know, yeah, man, Biden's in there, oh, man, yeah. And then when them horns come out and jig you in the ass, then you're going to be like, damn, man, maybe you should have kept Trump in there. Stupid motherfucker. Whoever was in there going to do the same shit to you. You fucking people just don't fucking learn out here. You never fucking learn. This is fucking amazing how much these devils are stuck you, you know, every fucking time. These fucking politicians, it's the same goddamn story every motherfucking time. They promise you the sun, moon, and the stars, and then they give you what? Fucking pipe dreams. Broken pipe dreams at that. And what happens? You fall for the same okie doke every time this shit comes around. It's just like, it's fucking amazing. It's fucking amazing to witness this shit. I could understand every once in a blue moon something like that happen, but every fucking time the fucking guys get up there, they talk that good shit, and you fall for the same shit every time. Fucking amazing. All right, now, where we at? So we read that. Okay, we read Psalm 94. We read Isaiah 10. Now, let's go to Psalms the 10th chapter. And I'll probably close it on this. You know, I didn't really have too much. Just a few, you know, things. You know, a couple of precepts coming to mind as you know, as we're speaking. You know, getting this message out. You know, but I mean, so far right now, as it stands, Biden is the president-elect. I mean, Trump still has to leave the White House by January 20th, 2021. That's the first the first official day of Biden's presidency. You know, so it's interesting to see what's going to go down, because another thing that Elder Pastor brought out in his video, which we've been seeing, you know, because not only Richie from Boston, but that cartoon's been circulating all through our YouTube. You know, I've seen it a few times myself. The Simpsons, you know, how Marge came to, well, she was actually in line in the 2020, you know, it was 2020, and you had lines, people had social distancing, they all had masks on their faces, you know, voting. And she calls Homer and tells him, listen, Homer, you know, you got to come down here and vote. He said, that's today? You know, so then he has a newspaper, he throws a newspaper on the grill and he lays down, and then it says 8 p.m. or something like that. He's knocked out sleeping with an owl on top of his head. Then all of a sudden she comes, she said, you slept all day? You know, and then not too long after that, one of the scenes not too long after that, they show him on top of his roof with all kind of pots and all kind of shit over him, and they show you the whole fucking city on fire. You know, rioting, looting, and they also show robots, you know, walking, you know, in the streets, and you know, fucking people up pretty much. And this society is moving to AI, you know, artificial intelligence. So it's very interesting to see what's going to happen within the next couple of months. And remember what Biden said. He says, day one, their plans for day one when they get into office, the day one in action to control this virus. So what do you think that means? Stricter measures. Let me see if that phrase comes up in this dictionary, offline dictionary. Stricter measures. Let's see. Stricter. Nope. Measures. All right. Doesn't come up. Stricter. That doesn't come up. Well, let's go with strict. Strict. Rigidly accurate. Allowing no deviation from a standard. And what is that standard? Those unrighteous decrees. You got to wear your mask everywhere you go. You know, you got to get vaccinated. You got to, you know, you got to stay quarantined. You can't leave your home. There's a curfew. Bringing in the military, National Guard, to patrol the streets at night so that people don't be caught out there in the curfew. They show you that in different movies, man. Show you that in V for Vendetta, you know, where they show you the curfews. They're imposing curfews as we speak now in different cities around America and even in other countries. It's a worldwide event, man. Psalms 10:1. Why standest thou far off, O Lord? Why hidest thou thyself in times of trouble? Yeah, because when it's all said and done, we're going to be begging for the Lord to come deliver us, man. We're begging for him to come deliver us now. So how much more when this trouble really starts to take root? It says, the wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. And that's all they're doing. How do the wicked and the rich, how do they get richer? By taking from the poor. The poor get poorer and the richer get richer. The rich don't take from the rich. They take from the poor. It's a vicious cycle, been done over and over again. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Why? Because the rich always exploit the poor. So it says, the wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. Yeah, because they imagining this new world order. They imagining people in captivity and slavery at their beck and call. You know, making them perpetual slaves. Taking all their goods, having to come to them for one of all things. So the Lord is, who is this? Doesn't say who the psalmist is, but the psalmist is saying, let them be taken in their own devices. And that's exactly what's going to happen. You know, they're going to fall headlong. The Lord is going to make them get caught up in this trap that they're trying to spring on us. It says, for the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous whom the Lord abhorreth. That's right. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after the Most High. The Most High is not in all his thoughts. So these devils do not think about the Most High. Only thing they think about the Most High is there's no God, or that they're the Most High. But here it is, you got Jake that's trying to bend over backwards. These fucking plantation Christians trying to bend over backwards to get the so-called white man accepted, you know, for salvation. That shit don't even sound right. No, that should never even be framed in the lips of anybody's mouth. Esau being set up for salvation. Are you out of your fucking mind? They're in this salvation. It says his ways are always grievous. Yeah, because their ways are always grievous. Because they're people that are not moral people. They are not sound of mind. They do not have an ounce of what's the word I'm looking for? Starts with a C. They do not have an ounce of consideration for anyone else, not even for their own people. They're soulless people, man. They're dead inside. Their heart is as black as coal and cold as ice. It says, thy judgments are far above his sight. Yeah, that's why they have the book, but they don't execute the book. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. Yeah, constantly, you know, talking shit to people, to the other nations. That's why them other nations can't stand it. Even their own heathen Edomite people can't stand them. These so-called European nations. That's why the scripture said that his look was more stout than his fellow. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, because they don't believe that they're ever going to lose this power. For I shall never be in adversity. Why? Because the scripture said the pride of their heart has deceived thee, and the riches and the wisdom that they got have deceived them. It says, his mouth is full of cursing and deceit, and fraud under his tongue is mischief and vanity. It's just nothing but total wickedness. You hear him talking, you know they lying. You hear them talking, beware. Watch your wallet. Watch your house. Watch your resources. How do you know Esau is lying? When his mouth is running. As soon as you see his mouth running, then you know he's lying. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. It says, he sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, in the secret places doth he murder the innocent. Yeah, because they have these secret councils to murder the innocent, because that is their plans. When they want to call the people, you know, they want to thin the herd. They're not talking about their own. They're talking about thinning who? Israelites, the Jakes, Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians. That's who they want to thin out. That's why they've gone into, they've gone into these so-called Latin countries and forcibly sterilized the indigenous women. You know, they've caused Jake. They put among Judah and the other tribes. They've put parent parenthood, abortion clinics. You know, They encourage women to get their tubes tied. There's all type of wickedness, man, to cull the population of Jake down. You don't know the magnitude and the wickedness of these devils. And we don't even know the fullness of it. We just have an inkling of just of things that are out there. But the fullness of it, the Lord knows. It says, in secret places does he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. It says, he lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. And what is a net? A trap. And how are they drawing them into their net? By those false words that they give out there and this legislation. You see? These devils are very treacherous. It says he croucheth and humbleth himself, that the poor may fall by his strong ones. Yeah. And who are the strong ones? The military, the police, these different police agencies, whether it's FEMA or the National Guard or the actual police or the sheriff. They're all in bed together, man. It says, he hath said in his heart, the Most High hath forgotten. He hideth his face, he will never see it. Yeah, because they know who we are. But because the Most High really hasn't done unto this devil, like the scriptures say, they thought that the Most High was on their side, in so many words. It says, arise, O Lord, O power, lift up thine hand, forget not the humble. Wherefore doth the wicked contemn the Most High? He hath said in his heart, thou wilt not require it. Yeah, and that's what they're saying. So we're like, Lord, you gotta do something to these devils. You gotta bring these devils down. You know? You gotta do something to these devils, otherwise they're gonna destroy everything and everybody. It says, thou hast seen it, for thou beholdest mischief and spite, to requite with thy hand. The poor committeth himself unto thee. Thou art the helper of the fatherless. And that's our only hope, is Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. That is our only way, our only protection. It says, break thou the arm of the wicked, meaning their power, and the evil man. Seek out his wickedness till thou find. In other words, just judge them completely. Bring total judgment upon them. The Lord is king forever and ever. The heathen are perished out of his land. Yeah, because all of those heathens that are in the land of Israel today are all going to perish, because that land is going to be totally annihilated, wiped out. The Lord is going to cause nuclear bombs to fall on that place and take them out and start all over again. But this land, America, is going to be totally wiped off the face of the earth too, but it's never going to be inhabited again by people. It's only going to be inhabited by desert creatures and unclean animals and birds and things of that nature. It says, Lord, thou hast heard the desire of the humble. Thou wilt prepare their heart. Thou wilt cause thine ear to hear, to judge the fatherless and the oppressed. That's why the unjust judge said what? And shall not the Lord avenge his own elect, which cried they not unto him? I say he will avenge them speedily, that the man of the earth may no more oppress. Yeah, don't they call him the man? That he may no more oppress. You know, and oppression comes in the form of taxation, fees, ripping people off, you know, stealing their wages, putting them in jail, beating them, killing them, murdering them. There's many forms of oppression. And one of the main ones outside of beatdown, you know, physical beatdown, is the stealing of someone's wealth. You know, the heavy tribute and taxes laid on someone. That's oppression too. All right, so that was the end of that chapter, Psalms 10, short chapter. You know, so pretty much, just to recap, Joe Biden's speech, it was about 7 minutes 46 seconds long or so. That's the one I ran across. Around a 2 minute 20 second point, just prior to that, he was saying how all these different nations of people and languages and uh, and religious backgrounds helped put him and Kalamata Olives into position. And he said they've given us an action for mandate for COVID. Around 3 minute mark, he said the pandemic is worse. And around the 3 minute and 48 second mark, he said that their plans for the first day when they're in office, which is January 2021, is to take action to control this virus, which means they're gonna use stricter measures, because obviously, so-called the people didn't so-called take the first wave, so to speak, serious enough. So now they gotta be stricter, they gotta be more forceful. And that's why the devil, Bill and Melinda Gates, those two goddamn devils, they said, they didn't take the first lockdown serious, but they will take the second one serious. Because they plan on doing something, and they're also genetically manipulating this virus also. So there's all kind of underhanded shit going on behind the scenes, which we can't prove a lot of it because it's being done behind the scenes. And there's people that's coming out saying, doctors and nurses and people that have virologists, and people that have actually worked in germ warfare, bacterial warfare, virus, and all of that, manipulation of viruses and engineering of viruses. They're coming out and saying that this is all bullshit and that they're manipulating this, that, and the other. But as we speak, they're making worse strains. So who knows what the hell is going to go on. But we know that the scriptures speak about pestilence, it speaks about famines and all that. So Jacob's trouble is pretty much here, but it's going to escalate and be worse. So with that, I pray that your brothers have been edified through water, for all the comments. I couldn't really see because the sun is kind of in my eyes, so I can't really see the comments coming up. Usually I could peek a couple of them, So with that, I pray that your brothers have been edified. To the next time I say Shalom, and Shalom to the Akwaf, to the sincere ones. Shalom.